Oh, hello.
Hi.
That was just like the easiest thing to do to go live. Because we're like two
We
millennials
have,
just figuring this out, man. That's
we're
what
Gen Xers.
that's what we do.
Yeah,
After this,
actually.
we're gonna tweet a little bit, and then hopefully you and I will do that TikTok dance we've been practicing.
Yeah. Y- Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just excited we
Well,
got it to work. So
yeah, as you could see, this is actually my first time going live on social media. So it's a new it's out of our comfort zone and it's new and I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else than besides you, Gordon. So
and well,
I'm
I'm
glad we
honored.
took this venture together.
And I am a veteran of this. This is my second live video of the my entire world of Instagram. So we will figure
Right.
this out together as we have been for how many years now we've known each other? 20,
Um, almost,
20,
almost,
almost,
yeah,
right?
almost,
I
yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm,
Luckily, we
mm-hmm,
haven't aged at all, right? And somehow our
mm-mm.
kids have gotten a lot older, so I'm not sure how that happened either.
I don't know that, yeah, it's very odd.
So, just to say hello to everybody who's tuning in. I'm Gordon Gooding. I'm the director of Gooding Wellness.
Mhm.
Been a social worker for the past 25 years. Working in an elementary school. Had worked in a high school. Also do some work with homeless education, and I've also been doing private practice for the past number of years.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
that is me. How about you, Carmela?
So I'm Carmela Tufano, and I too am a social worker, and I have been practicing for 20 years, and I specialize with adolescents and families, and I love what I do, and I'm also the newly uh, clinical director of Long Island Teletherapy, which is a wonderful venture that Gordon and Good gave me the opportunity um, have a platform to share our passion about helping people and to give back to the community and to really we've known each other so long and we really have so much experience that between us that this is really have been it's the one silver lining or one of the silver linings for COVID is this new venture of teletherapy.
It's a and it's a natural. I think it came very natural to us.
Mm-hmm,
I don't
mm-hmm.
think Instagram does.
This is not natural.
This is not natural, but working together has been, and it's been a pleasure. So I mean, I know we've
Exactly.
presented before, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the topic that we were going to kind of talk about tonight is this idea of parenting through uncertainty, which
Mm,
I feel like it's like this past year has just been, where is I always thought parenting didn't really have a manual or a guidebook. And,
no.
you and I pretend we're figuring it out, right? And then this past year
Hmm.
has been like, oh, let's take all the rules out of this. It's been,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely. I feel the same way. Hmm.
I know just even for us, at least for me personally, trying to figure out what, it's like a new normal, what is okay, what's not okay, mental health, physical health, social distancing, schooling, relationships. There's so many pieces that seem to be pulling at us during this past year, without so many of the, at least for me, so many of the resources I had, so many of the relief
Hmm.
valves, whether it's,
Hmm. Hmm.
going out to dinner with our friends or going away on vacation or listen, always just sitting in we'd sit in a staff meeting together and just,
Right.
all sit around and BS and tease each other. It was like
Hmm.
relieving, and it's like
Right.
we've kind of all that has ripped away from us, right?
Right, right. And I keep saying this, it was something that happened collectively to all of us at the same time. So, it wasn't just like, oh, a crisis happened to me or my family, but I could still reach out to those sources to say, hey, I need some help. I can't figure this out. We were all in it together, and we still are. And we're trying to figure out, like you said, that new normal. What worked, the outlets that were there in the past or not. So what did we replace them with? What worked, what didn't work, and we're still trying to figure that out.
Figure
I
it out.
mean, we have some tips, we have some go-to things that worked for us and for others that we know, but it really comes down to what works for you, and being able to try something new like this, but really to say, like, well, how am I going to figure this out? The world looks different for me. It definitely looks different for my children. How are we going to maneuver that different world? How are we going to interact with our friends, our family, our coworkers, everybody? Yeah.
It's so true. What
Mm-hmm.
what have you been? I know, just so people know, at our school jobs at least, you're at the
Mm-hmm.
middle school, I'm at the
Mm-hmm.
elementary school, and I know we've talked about this. What have you seen on? And well, both of us are parents of teenagers. Um, so what have you seen as like some of the more challenging aspects that parents are kind of having right now?
Yeah, so it's interesting because there are there's also, at this point, there's different stages. I'd like to kind of refer to. There's the parents who are have that COVID fatigue, who just really, and
Let's
and
get be
children.
done with. Let's be done
Yeah,
with this.
we're
Let's move it
done.
on. Yeah,
We have
yeah,
to. This has to end. This has to move forward. We
yes.
can't live like this anymore.
This can't be.
So
This can't be. Yeah.
right. So we're here at one end of the spectrum, and then the other is there's still a number of families who really haven't left their homes, just for maybe just necessities. But there are a lot of children who are still quarantined and within the home due to medical issues within the home, or just
Listen,
to
elderly
family.
parents are in the home.
Absolutely.
People fighting cancer. I've known that.
Right.
They don't want
Yeah.
anybody bringing anything into the home. There's so many stories
Absolutely.
like that.
There's a lot of health issues, and that families are facing. So we have that spectrum of children who wanting life to go back to normal. Sports are happening. It's huge for my family, and it's huge for some of the people I know in the community. So it feels like, okay, we're getting there. There's a step to normalcy, but then we also have those other children who don't have those, aren't afforded that opportunity because of that underlining health issue, or families' belief system of that, this is not something they're comfortable with. And I think I referred to this with you the other day, where back in the day, you could say, well, everybody's curfew is 11. Everybody else is staying out to 11. Why do I have to come
We're
home at
the
10?
only family
Everybody.
quarantining.
We're the
You're
only
the
family.
worst
Right.
parent ever. Yeah.
Exactly. And
But
almost
there's
now,
have you seen that? Because there's so much of that going on. It's like, and
yes.
it's so hard to explain to a kid. Well, Billy's family is they don't have to take, well, they're not taking as much precautions, and maybe
Right.
they don't believe in it. Maybe they don't have as many people at risk in their home, right? But Joey's family has, grandma lives there, and they can't bring stuff into the
Right.
home, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and the kids are just having such a hard time sorting out. And I think that the pressure that is put on these poor
Right.
parents to try to
Right.
and listen, you know this as teenagers, like we said, every teenager's parents the worst, and you're so unfair, and everyone
Absolutely.
else's parents let you do everything. And now
Right.
it's like, it's like, well, this one's doing this, one's doing that. And it's really, tough, and I've been saying to, parents, and about you, but it's like, there is no good answer, there's no
Mm-mm.
like, this is the correct answer. I think, I feel like it's, I don't know about you feel, but I feel like it's a moving target. Like we're going
Hmm.
to do the best we can with what we got, with where we are,
With we
right?
were, right,
Like,
right,
all right. So if, now we're, if I've heard a couple of families that, COVID went through their house and they're like, we're going on vacation because now we're
right,
good for a little bit. I'm
right,
like,
right,
like that's,
right, right.
but
Because before they didn't, because like
yeah,
as you said, they didn't have something to look forward to.
yeah,
I've heard that also. It's like, well, we used to plan a trip here or an activity there or a family tradition, and all those things stopped for a while. And they may again continue, but we still don't know.
yeah,
And children, the other thing that I think is important to family time has always been important, right? I know it's important in my life. It's been important the way I was raised. However, extended long periods of forced family time is not natural. And that's what we all experience. It's not that we didn't value being home with our families and cherish that time, but developmentally, an adolescent
it's not
shouldn't
supposed to
be
be
in the
locked.
home
Yes.
that many hours a day.
Well, I have said that exact same thing to so many parents. Developmentally, adolescents are learning to break away from their family.
Right.
So whether they're walking around the block, hanging out with their friends after school, that's a natural part. And now they're like, oh, well, I've had so many parents, and quite honestly, in the beginning, my own kids, like, are they going to
Mm-hmm.
come out of the room today?
Right, right,
You know what I mean?
right,
Because that's the only place
right,
they can kind of get away from us. And
right,
then as a parent, you worry, oh, they depressed, are they, all these things,
right.
and it's like that's why it's been so hard to sort all those little pieces out. But I think that's such an important part you bring up, that developmentally, teens are not supposed to be locked up with us.
No, they're not. They're
Just not.
supposed to learn, right. They're supposed to learn from one another. That's their peer group. That's their whatever we taught them, that's within them. That's their foundation. But now they're supposed to take that and look towards their peers and use those tools to maneuver. That's part of the learning of one day going to college or future employment, or that's how they're supposed to manage those things. They can't learn all that with your
Yeah.
home.
No, and
They
it's so
no.
it's that's the part. It's that boundary of trying to be compassionate to them.
Hmm.
And we still have to set limits with, like, it's trying to tell them
Absolutely.
no, and they don't want to be told no in 2019, so
Right.
it's such a tricky thing.
Right. And I know that there was a tremendous amount of I think it's not guilt, but there was this sense of parents who felt there was so much loss for their children. I mean, there was loss for us, but you as a parent, you felt like, wow, they lost. Like I know parents of seniors who were graduating. I think you
Hmm.
felt that like they didn't
Twice.
get
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
They didn't
Two
they didn't
back to
get
back years. Yeah.
right. They're not getting this tradition or that tradition. So you were almost like, oh, okay, if they don't want to do that, they had so much loss. It's okay. Like we would give them extra passes about
Yeah.
maybe some household responsibility they were supposed to do, or even kids were staying up later
Oh,
playing even video games because you said, well, at least they had some social interaction if they were live or on their telephones, or so it put us in a quandary.
yeah. And I think, the thing with the loss, it's one of the things someone pointed out to me, which I never put together, was that this past year has been a time of loss, right? And
Hmm.
if you think about it in terms of, we lose a family member, there are 5 stages of grief, right?
Right.
And I look back at this year, and I've had a lot of this denial. This is all BS. This is
Right.
overhyped, to just being depressed and lonely, to negotiating.
Hmm.
Maybe it'll be away by September. Like, we go through
Right.
all these
Right.
different stages, and and our kids do it too and I
Mm.
think our society is doing it too, in terms of,
Hmm.
easing off restrictions, jumping back on. But that loss is that's bereavement, because we are losing we have lost, even though it's temporary, because it is going to
Right.
be back. And I always say
Right.
we have to remember that it will be. This is not a permanent situation,
Right.
right? That and it's to let everything come with that. There's no, we do the best we can with what we have today, right?
Today. Right. Right.
You
And
know,
and you're absolutely right. And that's something that it's hard to be mindful of when you're in the situation, like not because we think even children, especially adolescents and children, they don't see the future the way we have. They don't have the life experience to say things will get better.
yeah.
They're just like, no, it's not. It's Groundhog Day. Here we go again. It's one day after the next. But
But
so even
that's
as
that.
adults struggles with, we've struggled with it. But
And that's part of the depressive symptoms that come in, is that it feels it.
right, right, right. So being mindful and present for today, but knowing that there is a future, that's so important.
One of the things, maybe, and I can speak to a little bit, maybe you can too, is like, with all this, I think one of the things, it's so hard for our kids to understand that keeping them in the loop, keeping them as informed as we can about our decisions as parents and why we're making these decisions and why you can't go to Billy's or Susie's, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
not just saying no, because
Right.
because this is hard for us to understand, keeping them in part of that decision-making process, that it's not we just dictate them to what this is what it
Mm-hmm.
has to be, but really kind of
Mm-hmm.
help them understand, because they don't get it.
Right. Right. And it actually taught our children kind of lessons of, we always talk about you want to do well for your family, for yourself, but your community as well. But this actually gave everyone that practice of like, how am I taking care of my fellow man? Not only what's in my home, but that larger lesson of this is something we have to do for like our community
Yeah,
at a whole.
yeah,
But and like you said, having that conversation about why it's important,
yeah,
and it's not that I'm just being unreasonable. These are the facts. This is what we have to abide by at this point. And then there is flexibility, like we said. There are parents who um, felt like, well, if we form this germ circle, we're comfortable with this. We know that there's these learning pods. People have formed those attachments, which, because we're social beings, we're humans, we're not meant to
yeah.
be isolated.
No, and I think that's why it's so important to kind of, it's where I was hoping we were going to go into some tips and things we can do for our parents, but I think that leads
Sure.
directly into it, which is, you know, is not just keep them in the loop and communicate with them, but also, allowing kids, and from the little ones to the bigger ones, allow them to ask questions, and being
Mm-hmm.
as open and as honest as we can, because I mean, we both know that, unanswered questions lead to anxiety, right? You have a little one,
Mm-hmm.
why are we doing this? And we don't tell, Johnny or Susie why we're hiding, or not hiding, but we're isolating inside and not going out and seeing people, why you can't do that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, kids come
Mm-hmm.
up with reasons, they need
Mm-hmm.
something,
Mm-hmm.
age appropriate, of course, but they need something to help them come to a sense of acceptance with it.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I think,
Absolutely.
letting kids answer questions, letting teenagers, almost challenge you. I'm sure that's how teenagers do it. I don't know if they ask questions as much as challenge you.
Right. True.
But let's put a positive spin on it and say they ask
I like that.
questions, you know,
Inquisitive little folks.
inquisitive little folks. Dad, you know nothing. Yes. Right.
Yes,
But I think,
absolutely.
letting kids ask those questions, I think is just,
Mhm.
key. And I think also
Right.
letting them know how we're feeling too. That
Mm-hmm.
this is,
Mm-hmm.
that this is not just a sacrifice for them,
Right.
but this has been hard. Like, listen, there's a whole bunch of, I can make a list like this off the top of my head of things I missed that I want to go back to, like yesterday,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, can we just, validate that and share with them our feelings. So when we share with them, we also get being as example to,
Right.
this is what we do with these sad feelings. We talk about it. We share about it. You know,
Right.
we
And that
good. Sorry.
normalize it. No, you're
Yes.
right. Normalize
Yes.
it that yes, the world, you're going to face challenges. You're going to feel sad some days. You're going to be angry some days. You're going to be fearful. There's also happy days. There's also days of gratitude. So they have to see the range of emotion. I
Yeah.
mean that so they know how to, we're their models, right? So we have to be the model of how to modulate our feelings so they know how to modulate their own
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the one, I hate to like, to look at the positive, but you know, resilience is a skill that we build, right? And
Mhm. Mhm.
it's not what happens, it's how we respond, right? So, listen,
Right.
whether it's the pandemic or you struggle in school, or you have a relationship goes bad, or job, we lose a job, we've all experienced that struggle. But what do we do with it now? Now we're
Right.
here. How do we kind of overcome that? We have to kind of,
Right.
this is
Right.
our opportunity to say we can overcome tough things, and we're not the only
Mhm.
one doing it.
Mhm. Right. And there were examples, and there still are examples of people who overcame. And what are the positives in the situation? Like, is it Mr. Rogers? Look for the helpers during the crisis, right? That was
Mm,
a line that he said. So what are the positives? What have we learned? What can we take from this? And share with them, like, yeah, we are all living history. This is this is part of who we are. This is your history, and it's changed the world. But what have we learned from it, and what can we take away from it?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's an important
The one,
lesson.
the anyone that I drive people crazy with this one thing, which I think is so critical right now, and which is the word end. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
I always, my clients who work with me probably are going to roll their eyes now, but it's like, can we replace the but with the end? Because the fact is, both things can be true at the same time. That's like a
Mm-hmm.
DBT type approach. Is that
Mm-hmm.
this can be a time of tremendous stress and discomfort and uncertainty, and there it could also be a nice time to slow down. It could also be a time
Mm-hmm.
that we're kind of getting back to simpler times. Like it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be one or the other, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what's so, needed, not neat, but at this time it's like we can say, I know you're struggling. I know you miss your friends. And we have to really try to keep grandma safe right now, or grandpa
Mm-hmm.
safe. Like
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
could, like two things can be true in the same time.
Right. Right.
Like
And
this is really tough, and we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna be okay.
right. And allowing both of those feelings to be heard and felt and expressed. I think that's important. And I mean, I know you were saying about our children show for them to see our emotions, like, and I think that's part of it as well. Like, to say this is a struggle for mom and dad too, or for grandma, or for our aunts, or for our uncles. Like, it's a struggle for the adults, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to get through it. You know,
And they
the
watch us. It's one of the funny things, because I work on the elementary level, as you know, and you work, and I have teenagers, so it's like they still watch. They're watching us. The little
mm-hmm,
ones watch. You think, oh, the little ones are watching, but they're watching. Like, we
mm-hmm,
are the examples, right? So I think of that
mm-hmm,
that's a part of self care and taking time for ourselves, and making sure we're
mm-hmm,
exercising, and making sure we're on the phone with some friends, and even we're getting away from, give us an hour on the couch to read our book or to watch our Netflix show, or but that little
right.
bit of time. Like, everybody needs that, and we have to, we can be that example for our kids too.
Right. And it's not easy to and it's not an indulgent, but to indulge in it, but it's not easy to practice self-care. And I do say that a lot, but even for me, it's a challenge to really take that time to practice the self-care that I need. But it is so invaluable. And
Well,
as you said, it's a walk, a bubble bath, a shower, reading the book, connecting with friends. I think that is huge for me, connecting with friends and family. That was something that really helped me get through it, and still does. I think connection, something that gives you joy, so listening to music, dancing in your kitchen. I don't care what it is, but you have to do something to take care of yourself, and having your kids see you do that.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of, moms out there that have a special, I'll say it, I'll be a slacker at home. And,
Right.
it's been extra hard on them. So like that extra, if they're home alone with the kids all day and, or what, it's like there's an extra burden. And it's like almost the societal thing. It's not okay to take care of yourself because you got to take care of everybody else. And we need to, we really, really need to. It could be that, like you said, that phone call with that friend you do every day or every week, or just getting out on the bike, or you name it. But it's like so important, to care for somebody else. You have to take care of yourself.
Right. And it's important for your children to see that it's okay to take that time to care for yourself, because they're going to be adults. They're going to have to learn how to manage their stress level and their challenges. And if they don't know that they can fuel themselves and take that time when needed, they're going to, they're going to burn out, and we don't want that.
Yeah. Well, and I think we start to see some of that, or, the one thing I see some of that already in some of our high school kids is, AP class, all this, this drive, because the whole society is like, we're just driven for more and more and more. So pause, just slow down a little bit,
Right. Exactly. And we're the models for that. However challenging it may be.
I know. Well, and it goes to the media, right? Like we're on our devices all day. They're watching us, right? So if we're on scrolling through Instagram all day, they're going to be doing it. And or if we're watching the news, like I might be guilty for, there was a while there was a lot of news in my life that it was like, and I wasn't learning anything, but it was just like just self-consuming, and then it's like, and then you're digesting this negativity all the time. It just doesn't feel good, right? So again, we can be the examples, which is tough.
Absolutely.
I wish there was like, though, like, this is all we have to do, It's like a little scattering of all these little things, and we have to kind of go in it, like we're gonna get through this,
Right. Exactly. As you said, when in the beginning of this, you said that there was no rule book. You didn't have your child, and they presented your child and the rule book. There's no rules. The manual. There's no direction. There's nothing. And I remember one of the best piece of advice that I got as a parent was, you have to learn to trust yourself. And I really take that to heart, and I use that in my life. It's learning where my gut is and trusting that gut, because that could go across all situations, not just as a parent. And I really think that's important as an individual. When you're in a situation and you feel it, you get that sense, you have to trust your gut and say, you know what, I'm doing the right thing. It's okay. I know this feels uncomfortable. I know this is not where I want to be, but this is the right decision. Even those difficult ones. So trust that gut as a parent.
And even, what's right for you may not be right for me. What's right for your family may not be right for my family. And to let that be okay. I think we get into this comparison thing, which is so... Someone's texting Carmela.
No, someone called.
I know. I figured something happened there. But I was just, what works for you, it doesn't have to work for me. And what works for me doesn't have to work, because like you said, you have to trust your gut, that what am I comfortable, what is right for my family? You know your kids, your boys better than anybody, right?
Right.
So it's going to be different for you than for anybody else. And that's, I think we have a lot of parents too getting into that too. It's like, well, why can't they, there's this parental pressure to, like it's okay to make a decision what's right for you or
What's
right for
right
your
for your
family.
child.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And stand by that. And if you're coming from a place of love, and concern, and compassion, how could the decision be wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. But
Right.
and we're now going full circle because we go back to speaking to our kids about it, validating their feelings about it, validating
Right.
our feelings about it.
Mm-hmm.
Finding our
Mm-hmm.
support that someone's doing this. I feel like I should be doing this, and processing
Right.
that through. Like it's. But I think that's a great point to kind of I think we're going to wrap up, but soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long we've been, but I think that was trusting your gut. I like that a lot because that is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's not a comparison. It's not like, oh, because everyone's doing it.
No, 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 exactly. You have to kind of follow your, own family values and path, and trust that you're doing the right thing, even those difficult decisions. And
Yeah,
that's when you feel it the most, when you come across those difficult decisions
yeah, and be
as a
gentle with
parent.
yourself. This is
Absolutely.
there was one line I think I put it on my Instagram somewhere, but I love the line. This is out of all the pandemics I've been through, I'm handling this one the best. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like this is
Right.
uncharted. It's just we're figuring it out. Well, that's all right.
Right.
I gotta
Right.
remember
You
that.
have
There's
to
no reference
believe.
point here. This is not like
There's
a
no
winter I've
reference.
been through every year. Yeah,
Right. And nobody's like, slaying it. Nobody's like, this is it. I got it.
I'm
100%. I'm doing
oh,
everything right. No one's crushing it.
everybody. Everybody we talk to. I mean, the teachers, other parents, and my
Yeah.
clients, and and some days with my clients, I'm like, yeah, me too. Like, yeah, we feel it
Yeah.
because we're all in this together.
We're all in it together. And that's what I said. This is something that hit us completely all together. And I just can't recall a time when I mean, obviously, I'm sure it was in history sometime, but
Well,
when it was,
shared
modern
trauma.
times,
It's a
the
shared trauma
shared
event.
trauma.
And
Right.
as hard as that is, there's also that's what the comfort is, that knowing that you and I can call each other and kind of be like,
That's right. Right.
here
Right.
we are again. Like
Right.
that as so much as that the trauma is for both of us, that there's a relief and support that comes with knowing that you have a similar experience as me.
Right.
If I
And,
let
and
you know how
yeah,
I'm feeling. If I don't, then it
right.
stays in my head, and
Stays in your head. And
yeah,
I think, I know we're going to wrap it up, but that's one of the most important things, to stay connected, and, speak your truth and speak to people when you need that. I mean, obviously, we're here in our platforms, Long Island Teletherapy and Goody Wellness. However, but reaching out to those family members, that friend circle, that your colleagues at work, wherever you have that support circle, you, rely on it. Because I know for me, I rely on it tremendously, but I also rely on helping others. It goes back and forth. We feel useful, we feel heard, we feel needed and cared for, and that's important.
because it goes. We're repeating ourselves a little bit, but we go back. We're not supposed to be so alone,
No.
right?
Right.
I'm supposed to
Right.
be. We as human beings, we're social beings. We're meant to be around others, rely on others for
Mm-hmm.
emotional support, for to interact with each other. So, all right. So some of this distancing is there, but it's like we can still rely on our friends, rely on our family for support. If we don't have those things, maybe it's our coworkers. If we don't have them,
Right.
maybe it's finding a good therapist or a good
Right.
support group online, right? Like,
Places of worship, whatever that you feel
yeah,
you have, your
yeah,
connection.
we're never as
Go to it.
alone. We're never as alone as we feel, right? And I think
Absolutely.
that's what this time makes us feel much more alone than we actually are. Because when you get
Right.
on a video call or a phone call, or apparently on Instagram Live, or something, we can relate, I mean, because
We
we all
can.
we know,
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So I think it's there's so much more to be said about this, but since we're new at this, we probably should wrap it up and whatever.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I
This was
love the
fun.
points you brought up. I think it's such a I for any parents out there watching, just hang in there. We're getting through it together,
Right.
and make sure you're taking care of
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and ask for the help when you need, and rest when you need to rest,
Mm-hmm.
and This
Mm-hmm.
is not the
Mm-hmm.
time to judge yourself so harshly, you know?
Right, right. Be gentle with yourself and your children.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, before we go, there's like a red dot here. Should we see what that means? I don't know
Oh
if that's a
boy.
question. Is that a question?
I don't
Oh,
see a red dot. I'm
all
sorry.
right. All right. We don't know. Now it's really creepy because I'm getting really close. So I'm gonna sign off with that. So I see Lauren there. Hi, Lauren. Thank you.
Oh, thank
Carmela,
you.
always good seeing you and talking
Oh,
to
yes.
you. We'll
Yes,
have to maybe try this again or something, Who,
absolutely.
who knows? But this has been a fun little adventure and always fun talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. All right.
All
I'll
right.
talk to you soon, okay?
Bye now.
Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.